Everyone. Welcome back to Skoldiers and Spice. I am Sal. I am very excited that we have our very first Skoldier in the Spice studio, which is still very under construction, but I'm super excited to introduce him. First, though, I wanted to thank everyone for listening to my first episode that dropped yesterday. I had so many wonderful comments and so many people, replied and said that they thought it was funny. And it just really means so much to me that you took 37 minutes out of your day to listen to my show. Obviously, I've been, involved in this podcast world for several years, but I was really nervous to step out and do my own thing under my own name. And I just want you guys to know like how much it means to me and how much of a confidence boost it gives me just to read those things. So I really appreciate you. But let's get into it. We've got week 2 coming up, and our guest is here. Here he is, our very first Skoldier in the Spice studio. We have Jason Harmon.
What an honor.
I know. Thank you for being so flexible. When I heard you were going to be in town and you're staying for a week almost.
Yeah, we're just kind of hopping around.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, well, the podcast will be going. I got to get him on, right? So you are my first guest. Thank you so much for dealing with all of our...
Yeah, no pressure at all. Thanks for that.
For dealing with our technical difficulties this morning. But so what day did you get here?
We got in Monday at like 10:30, 11, and then we leave next Monday.
Yeah, so just a nonstop trip pretty much.
Basically, yeah.
Well, for anybody who doesn't know you, your name on Twitter is _Jason_777.
Yeah, it was not made at any point with the intent to do like Vikings content. It was just what I had in high school, and
it's a high school name.
Dude, it's better than my AOL Halo King or whatever that was.
Yeah, at least you didn't go with that.
Yeah.
But since then, you have just been killing the content game. You put out some of the funniest tweets, the most original tweets that I see. And I mean, you're getting more likes on a single tweet than I'm getting in like an entire week. So you're killing it.
It's crazy because like I don't understand like the engagement rate is like surprisingly good, but I guess I don't know. We all kind of think the same. As far as dealing with being a Vikings fan. So yeah. I think #relatable.
You just do such a good job of pulling out clips and things at a timely manner that fit what's going on, or even if they don't, even they're like a throwback. The way you present them is just always, you have to click it, you have to watch it, even if it's something you've seen like a million times. So I see you always all over the feed. You're killing it. And how many home openers have you been to now?
This is my second home opener.
So 2 years in a row?
No, we came. We didn't even plan to come out last year because we were having our son, Case, in July. Your water bottle good there, dude?
Yeah. You already
broke this one you gave me. Now you're about to break the other one, too.
I know. I told Jason we have to switch to like Vikings themed cups, and then I've already broken them. It's been a whole thing this morning.
But we had our son, Case, in July of last year, and so we were like, well, we'll go to a game in Vegas. And then he got sick, couldn't go, but my wife wanted me to go. Really glad he missed out on that snooze fest.
Yeah.
And then we ended up coming out for the New Year's Eve game, came to your tailgate. Yeah. Case enjoyed the heater and all the attention. And then that game also sucked, but for entirely different reasons.
Yeah, you went. Yeah, 2 rough games for you last year. I mean, at least one was a W, but
technically, but even like we all lost. But yeah, the other home opener I came to, ironically, was the Falcons game in 2019. That was my first Vikings NFL game ever.
Oh my God.
I've been a fan forever, but I've never made it to a game. And so that was my first one.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on was because you don't live here in Minnesota. You live in Arizona, correct?
Currently.
Yes, currently. And as I talked about last episode, I did not move here until 10 years ago. So I was always traveling here for games as well. And home opener became like a ritual for me after a few years. Always had to be here, home opener, always had to be here. And so I feel like the most people travel for this game. So it's like a big reunion as we get the season started. But yeah, I was going to say one of the last home opener I went to before I moved here was the last game at the Metrodome. And I ended up staying here for a week as you. And then I moved here the next year. Like I was like, I need to spend here a whole week. I need to figure out if I want to move here, where do I want to live? Can I deal with this weather? Where is there to eat? And then I moved here. So I'm not trying to predict anything. I'm just saying it might be in the cards.
It could be a possibility. But see, for you though, you came from Virginia, so like the weather obviously being different, but like it's not like Scottsdale to Minnesota. Where it's like 115 to like -15. You're talking what? Like what's the coldest it gets in Virginia? Like 20s?
20s only maybe like a couple of times a year. It always hovers around that like 32-degree mark in the winter. So you're getting like the wintry mix that just makes life hard. But but it's never consistent. It'll be like for a few days. But don't let the weather stuff scare you.
The thing is like we can't even take our kid out in the majority of the summer.
Yeah.
We have to put ice packs on his car seat for like an hour before we even consider going outside. Like it is that hot.
Yeah, you got to get out of there.
Yeah, it's so like I've always said, like I get it. It's like if we were to move here, the first like actual blizzard, I would lose my mind and not know what to do. But you can always put on more clothes. You can't take off your skin, which when it's 120, like last summer we hit the record for the most days of 110. No, it was the most 110 plus days in a single summer. And then just now they hit the record for most 100 plus days in a row, which was over 100 days over 100. So Scottsdale, Arizona is pretty cool to visit during the winter and during spring training. But if you live there in the summer, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's certainly not for me. And for moving here, I think for me, it was just a mind over matter thing because I chose to move here. I chose this lifestyle. And so I felt like I don't have any right to complain about it. I cannot complain. I just made sure I had automatic start on my car and I never complained. It took me probably about 7 or 8 years where I felt like, all right, I can start bitching about this.
I'm a local now.
Yeah. But so it was like, because, when you tell people you're going to move here, they're like, oh my God, do you know how cold it is there? Like, that's the number one thing they try to ram down your throat. So, but anyway, okay. So how did you become a Vikings fan living in Arizona? I've never gotten this story.
So I'm actually originally from Southern California. My dad grew up in 29 Palms, which is where the Marine base is. And I guess I had like a lot of people from the Midwest because the first TV or game he ever saw on TV was a Vikings game.
Oh, wow.
And like people from Southern California may disagree with this, but I think everyone kind of knows it's true. It's really hard to find like a football identity there because like growing up we had the Chargers, but like very few people were diehard San Diego Chargers fans, as evidenced by them moving.
Even back then?
Yeah. Wow. And then now in LA, they don't have a lot of support. But it was mainly Raiders and Rams fans. I went through like a 2-year period where I wanted to like make my dad mad, so I was a St. Louis fan. And also I just love Kurt Warner. But it was just, he saw Fran Tarkenton, he saw the Purple People Eaters, and his favorite player was Chris Carter. Like my dad passed away in 2015 of cancer, but I still have his Chris Carter. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, I'm wearing the Moss, you got the Carter. We just need something with Jake Reed on it.
It wasn't even planned.
But I still have his Chris Carter jersey hanging up in the closet. I can't wear it. It's one of those old Reebok jerseys that's like 4 times too big, and my dad was a big guy. But it's cool to have. But yeah, I mean, I always grew up watching games. It was hard because they weren't on in Southern California a ton, and we didn't have like YouTube. And
because how old are you?
How old am I now?
Yeah,
32. So like, I was like 6 during '98. So that's like one of my first memories. It's like watching my dad watch them when they were on, and then the NFC Championship. But like my first like, I am following every game as closely as I can. Like I had a smartphone or a computer to check. Was really, I think, Adrian's rookie year, so like 06. And then like luckily the Chargers game was on locally where he broke the record. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have seen that. But then like 2009 is I was 16, 17 at the time. That's when,
Yeah.
you really start to know your stuff. That
Mhm.
was a fun year to have my heart shattered.
Wow, it's just a theme of our lives at this point. But yeah, similar for me. I think we got Sunday ticket. I mean, whenever it came out, it was early 2000s, I know. So then I could watch every game. But before that, it was you were on your dial-up internet, like refreshing the feed to see like where the ball was on the
Funny thing
field.
about that, I had an iPhone my senior year, and
Oh,
the
sick
Niners.
brag.
Well, that was also like 2009, 2010. It wasn't that late, but we had AT&T, so we got the hookup. But so I like had it was my first phone with like internet, so I would check the Viking scores on the ESPN with a little cartoon football moving down the field.
Yeah.
And I remember the Niners game, I was shocked it wasn't on because there's a lot of Niners fans just all over California. And I just remember seeing the Vikings down and I hit refresh and then it just goes touchdown. And I was like, what just happened? What just happened? Like freaking out. And then about like 10 minutes later, I saw the video of Favre to Lewis. So like experiencing that on a delay and just seeing the app update, like that's one of those moments like we can't really experience anymore because there's a million ways to get the game on your phone and highlights 10 seconds after on Twitter. But yeah, that's one I remember specifically was running around my house freaking out, being like, what happened, not knowing.
Yeah.
But
I know that play is stuck in my mind too. I think the anniversary is coming up. It's like September 27th. But that's another where were you moment was that play for sure. But so then you moved to Arizona.
For college.
Okay. And I've never been there, but from what I understand, there's a lot of Minnesota transplants there.
Yes.
And so you made friends with people at the sports bars and stuff, or how did that work out?
College at first, there was just you just kind of spot a Teddy Bridgewater or Adrian Peterson jersey in the wild.
Yeah.
Or like even somebody in a Wild jersey, a Twins hat, like you kind of know like there's a starting point for a conversation. And then after college, as you do, being a college grad living in Scottsdale, you go to like the bars, and we found this bar called Boondocks, which was officially an NFC North bar, but we took it over for 2017, and there was like hundreds of Vikings fans for the Minneapolis Miracle. And so any game I wasn't at in person for like a 5-year stretch, I was at Boondocks. Somebody gave me a drum to like get up on the table and lead the Skol chant. So,
oh wow!
But since having a kid, like he does great, but like I don't want to have my 1-year-old like 10 feet away from a bachelorette party. So like trying to like poke at him and be like, oh my God. So it's, we got Sunday ticket, which is also nice.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to you about Case in a little bit for sure, because we got to talk about Case. But okay. So then how did it work out? Because you've had a lot of cool opportunities in the last few years. Really
the last year and a half.
And so how did that transition from you just being, the CEO of the local Vikings bar to, share what happened?
Well, so it's funny because like I was just the crazy guy that like people would like record at the bar.
Yeah.
And like my Twitter was just like a normal personal Twitter where like I would tweet about the Vikings during games and like people would be like, is this person okay? Or are you going through a mental health crisis? Because I'd be like, I'm going to jump off a bridge. They'd be like, what's going on? I'd be like, no, Kirk Cousins just fumbled, like whatever. And then I had a friend from college who told me to follow her cousin on Twitter because she was a Bears fan. She's like, my buddy's a big Vikings fan. And his name is Zach. And he just I had been following like a lot of the aggregator pages, things like that, some of the bigger Vikings pages. But he was like responding to or like retweeting stuff from like a lot of like accounts I had never seen. And I kind of noticed like, oh, this Vikings Twitter thing is like a community. So like,
and this was only how long ago?
This was during the coaching surge. So this was 2022.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And at this point I'm at like 650 followers. And yeah, it's been kind of crazy. And so I got involved with like the Harvey Army, like all those memes going on.
Yeah.
And
Thank God that didn't happen.
And then the season happens and like, I gained like 50, 100 followers, whatever. And then like for the playoff game, I just tweeted like, hey, you guys want to give me tickets? Like not expecting no one even replied to the tweet. Like,
and you tagged the Vikings in.
Yeah, I was like, hey,
tweet.
Vikings, if you want to give me free playoff tickets, I'd appreciate it, friend. Just like
a joke that any
not
of us
thinking it would
say.
go anywhere.
Yeah.
And like didn't even get a like or anybody being like, LOL, could you imagine? And I'm sitting at work talking to my boss 3 days later, and my phone dings, and I look and it's from Delta Airlines responding, and I'm like, this is right when they started paid verification, and I'm like, who's deciding to be a jerk right now?
Make a Delta
throw my whole day off and make a Delta burner to prank people. And they're like, hey, Viking, or since you're in Arizona, sounds like what you really need is plane tickets at Vikings. You got tickets to the game. And then I was like checking, and I'm like, this account has like 2 million followers. I'm like, there's no way. And then the Vikings replied, and then naturally this kind of like got people like view my Twitter profile because I saw the Vikings respond. And since then I'm up like to 6,500 almost, I think, just because like once that happened and I started to really see the community, I was like, I really like talking about the Vikings, and now I have a room full of people basically on the internet that will listen to it, and then it's just kind of gone from there. So I've gone, I think in like January 22, I think before the tweet I was at like 750 800 followers, and now we're at like 6,500, which is still a long ways to go to where I want to take it. But
what a crazy story that you just sent a tweet out on a whim. It's pretty much just a joke. And then you have Delta Airlines messaging
and then the Vikings responding. That was crazy.
So they flew you out, and you had
great experience until the football game happened.
That's how it goes sometimes.
I could tell. I mean, it was weird. I went into as soon as I sat down, I was like, the vibes are off. Like, I couldn't explain it. But I was also like, they put us up at Mall of America, and they gave us like boxes of like gear, and they gave one for our baby that wasn't even born yet. And like, it was so great.
Right.
And then we got inside, and I'm like, I don't know, something feels weird. And then the game was like the weirdest playoff game I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was terrible. But then it's hard to be upset about anything because you're like, I just had this insane gift and opportunity that I never thought would ever happen in a million years.
It was the coolest weekend of my life other than 4th and 8th. Yeah. Until that play, like, it was the best. But like, it didn't, like, my wife and I, like, we literally DoorDashed Red Cow after, and we're sitting on our hotel floor eating Red Cow, talking about, like, honestly, like, the game is like the least of our focus right now.
Right.
Because it was just such a crazy experience.
And that's what I was kind of talking about last episode with people, is that my perspective on being a Vikings fan has just completely changed in the last handful of years. Because it used to be, it would ruin my time, especially if I traveled here and I spent thousands of dollars. Like, I came for the home opener in, I want to say 2013. It was still at the Metrodome, and they were playing the Browns. They were supposed to just dominate because is it Trent Richardson? It's been so long that I don't remember. He got traded
to the Colts.
Yep, and then they had Brian Hoyer. Something happened to their quarterback. Brian Hoyer was stepping in, who at the time nobody knew was this like wizard backup.
We won 3 games.
Yes. So I come all the way here for that, and I'm spending all this money, and then they lose, and of course it ruins my entire day. Like, I wake up blacked out in my hotel room, and there's just stuff thrown everywhere. My brother had decided to go up to, they had face painting at the time everywhere. He got like the John Randall full face paint, and we're just wake up in the hotel room. He's got the face paint all over everywhere. And so it really would like ruin my time. You want to like harm yourself because you just dropped all this money on this team and stupid. But since, you know, in the last few years, it is kind of like about what you're saying. It's like, man, that game really sucked, but I wouldn't have had this opportunity. I wouldn't be here on this awesome trip if it wasn't that I love this team. Like, I wouldn't have all of these friends. I wouldn't have this like sense of community now if it wasn't for this team.
100%.
You wouldn't be here at my house right now if it wasn't for this team. So now
Again,
I'm so passionate about this subject
that you want to break all your Vikings drink.
I want to break all my stuff. But so now it's hard to like really let the game affect me on that level because I'm so appreciative of everything else that it has brought me. So.
I think having full transparency, I think probably having Case maybe helped change that too, because it's more like not just the experience, but like sharing those experiences with him and stuff. Mm-hmm. Because even when we knew we were pregnant, but he wasn't here during 2022, I remember those few games we did lose in not so fun fashion, being quite angry. The Cowboys game being a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Some Cowboys fan walked up to me at the bar and was like, being like, your team sucks, and poking me. And I was like, don't touch me. And then he started doing the, I'm not touching you. And I was like, and then my pregnant wife decided to threaten his life, and he stayed away. So
We love Queen Jenna.
so that game was massively annoying because I literally had to go doing the "I'm not touching you," and I'm like, what is this?
Was this a Cooper Rush game?
No. Oh, I think it was
No.
that. It was the one we lost like 40-3 or something.
It was a night game.
No, it was a day game. It was the week after the Bills game.
I mixed them
Because
up.
remember, we came off the Bills game,
yeah,
and then we
yeah.
had all this high, and then we do what we do after a big win.
Yeah.
And then
of
I
course.
was coming out that week for the Thanksgiving game, and I'm like, we better get it together.
Mhm.
And then that game was fun. Our defense did terrible, but the game was great, and we won. So
Was that Thanksgiving? That was
the
Patriots
Patriots.
game?
So literally,
Yeah.
the Dallas game was
The
in
Patriots
between the
Yes.
Bills game and the Pats game.
Gotcha. Well, we brought up Case again, so let's talk about Case. Case is your son. How old is he?
Turns 14 months in like a week,
Wow.
week and a
Okay.
half.
And I know I should know the answer to this, but is he named after Case Keenum?
Yes, in my opinion. So I had made a pledge on the news when the Vikings gave us tickets without my wife's full permission, that if the Vikings had won the Super Bowl that year, we would go with either Kirk or Justin. And Jenna was not a big fan of having a third J in the house.
Mm.
And so that didn't happen very clearly. And so she's like, okay, no Vikings names. So she starts bringing up these names. She's like, I like the name Case. And I was like, bingo, love it. She's like, why? And I looked at her, and then she remembered back to me because she wasn't a Viking. She's from Albuquerque. So I've given her the lure. And she's like, oh, no. I was like, you said it. You can't take it back. And so that's how it happened.
Wow. I love that.
But that is
Love
cool
that.
because, like, obviously it's just such a, like, niche quarterback in, like, the grand
Mhm.
scheme. But also that Minneapolis Miracle game was, like, 2 years after my dad died.
Okay.
And I was wearing his bomber jacket. And people kept asking me, they're like, you have the same jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The starter.
And- yeah.
Yeah, the satin.
And they were like, where did you get this? Like, this is, like, obviously, like, actually old. And I was like explaining the backstory. So like when people found out it was like my dad's and he passed away, people were literally latching onto that jacket before the miracle happened. So like that moment, I'm not gonna name my kid Stefan because he'll just ask to leave our house, go to a different house, and then demand a trade to another family. So I'm not setting that up. But you know, I have to go with people who are loyal and appreciative. But so it does have that cool meaning. Like
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about
Yeah.
the jacket and everything. That's so cool. But okay, so Case came with you to the game last year.
yes. And he just
And-
chilled.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk to you about and he's coming to the game this week.
Yeah, he will not chill this time.
So how do you manage like the roller coaster of emotions that comes with the Vikings game and paying attention to your child and taking adequate care of them?
My wife is super supportive because she knows like I would love, and it's a long shot, but like I would love to turn this into an actual career. So
Yeah.
like she treats the games as like me needing time to pay attention and like do content.
Yeah.
Which is again, like I don't deserve that. Like the faith she's putting in me is so insane, and like the level of support.
Yeah.
It is incredible. So like I'm still hanging out with him, but if he gets fussy or something, you know, I'll try to take care of it. And if it's like during a big moment, she'll step in, which is great. Last year was great because he would just like he's just a little potato for most of the season, so
Yeah.
he'd just kind of plop in on my arm and just chill. Now he's like headbutting everything.
Oh, okay.
Like he
Yeah.
woke me up this morning because he like got fussy in his like pack and play, so we put him in the bed with us, and I literally woke up to him going, just
Oh,
headbutting me. So
yeah.
he's in like walking, running, wants to climb everything phase.
Okay.
So Sunday will be different than last time where he just sat.
Yeah.
But we took him to a Twins game the other day and he did great.
Yeah.
He had a great time. He was clapping along.
I have two friends that have season tickets, and from the beginning, they were like, "We're bringing them to every single game. We don't care. And we all were like, yeah, right. Like the kid's gonna get here, and you are not bringing the kid to any games." Well, what are we like 3 years later? Every single game they've went to, they've had another child since then. That baby has been to every single game. And so just from observing them, it seems like if you just start this really early and get them to figure out, you know, how to handle these surroundings, then it's really not as challenging as you would think. But
You think that's bad? We took him to a Dodgers Diamondbacks game when he was 4 weeks old.
oh, wow.
And he slept the entire time.
Yeah, see, you're just conditioning.
Because you gotta think,
Condition them
like,
young.
what, like 30, 40 years ago, people's car seats were in the front and they were just these like metal racks. And like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
people have survived for a long time. I know there's certain things where like, yeah, you take care of your kid,
Yeah.
but like put headphones on him, let him chill. If he gets fussy, like US Bank is great because they have like family rooms and like this sensory pods. Like, it's a modern stadium with
Right.
like amenities and spaces for that. So like, totally awesome.
Yeah.
Like, if it was like freaking what Soldier Field or something, or FedEx, I'd be a little concerned.
Skoldiers Field.
Oh yeah.
I have to look at my notes really quick because I think I'm forgetting something. But yeah, that's awesome. And we love having Case at the tailgate.
He's a star.
We can't wait for him to make his return.
Oh yeah, he will be. I will have to contain him.
Well, you know, it's only like a couple of years till he'll be playing Thunderstruck. And
I can't wait.
you know, Dustin Baker's son Stone, he'll play Thunderstruck with us with like he played a couple years ago with Apple Juice, and this kid was crushing the apple juice. Like he was not taking no for an answer that he could not play, and he was just in the circle just like showing everyone how he chugged his apple juice. I'm like, Dustin, you may have created a monster here. But okay, cool. Well, so you've got a podcast now on Social Network with Brev.
Yes, it's on Vikes now.
Yes.
So under Dustin, but it's called the Social Network. It was a weekly show because we started in the off season, which is really good time to start a podcast for football. Well,
it's good to get all the kinks out of the way. Then you're not here with like me having an hour set up.
The funny thing is like, when we started, it was free agency and the draft, which was like our peak. And then it's like, what do you talk about in like June? But we're doing 2 shows now, basically pregame prediction, postgame reaction. And then we'll kind of see where it goes from there.
That's how I'm like, I mean, same thing, but I'm like, I have so many juicy stories that I cannot wait to spill. I'll just save that for the off season. Like, of course I want to spill it all right now.
You got to get a filing guide.
But I'm like, I have plenty of things that I can talk about. But okay, how are we feeling about the Vikings? Everyone's on cloud 9 after last week. At least I don't know. Yeah. I am.
No, I am. I'm trying to be like protective of like my mental.
Yeah, you always have to.
This year specifically, I was really excited about JJ McCarthy, so like I'm sad about that. I'm a USC fan, just being from Southern California, so I've always known Darnold has a really good arm and like physical talent. I'm excited. The number one thing that makes me excited is seeing him fully trust in KOC last week and KOC putting a full game plan together.
Yes, I couldn't agree more about
and then with that, also having the running game show up. Like, we didn't have like 150 rushing yards, but like Aaron Jones was really good in what we asked him to do.
Yep.
I think logically this is going to be a tall task this weekend, but I think we can win. I mean, nobody predicted us to win last year, especially after starting 1-4.
Right. Like the offense for me, pretty much echo what you said, but the offense looked so much better than I thought it was going to, just how cohesive it was. And it looked like everything was clicking. Of course, you take the opponent into account, but I didn't think that they would. I mean, they had one drive that was rocky. And then after that, everything was good. So
their biggest win in 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And for pretty much a lot of brand new pieces on offense, that was very impressive to me. And I too, I keep getting it stuck in my head about the 49ers game last year, where we're just sitting there like, why are we even at this game? Why are we here? Why do we spend money?
I drove back from Vegas early so I could be home in time to watch it. And I was like, I'm just on the off chance.
Yeah.
Something happens.
And then, of course, it was amazing. And so that's also kind of giving me some false hope, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully not. But they looked awesome on Monday, the 49ers, obviously. But I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to go.
It's tendonitis or something, or in his Achilles. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's basically like the re-injury or like severe injury risk is high.
Yeah.
But here's my thought process is like, even if we lose this weekend, and lose to Houston, and we're 1-2. The Packers game is winnable now.
Now it is, yeah.
I'll be honest. I think Jordan Love is like a B grade quarterback. I don't think half a year of bad football followed by half a year of good football should have given him the contract I gave him. But maybe
I know
crazy.
it's the market and how it dictates. And
shout out Kirk, dude, ruined quarterbacking. But now that game seems more winnable. And then the Jets I know it's against the Niners, but they just did not look good.
Yeah.
So like it is possible to start 2-3, 3-2 out of the stretch, and then you have a series of games that the Lions will be tough, but you have Chicago, you have the AFC South teams that seem more winnable. I think this team could make the playoffs.
Yeah, I was pretty negative on the schedule, and it's so crazy the reactions week to week, the overreactions that we have sometimes, because now I'm like the disrespect I gave to this team with my 7-win record prediction. But you're right, like Lambeau is a lot higher chance to win now. The Jets, I didn't really know what to expect from them, but also it being in London kind of makes things weird. But to me, that game last week was as close as a must win as a week 1 can be. So I'm glad that they pulled that out. And I'm just so excited for Sunday, excited to see everybody and get back to it. I can't believe it's already time for this again. So.
Yeah, I think last time we tailgated was the last home game last year. Yep. And then now we're back for the first home game this year.
And hopefully we will be popping bottles, first home opener, because last year we didn't, I think.
We sucked at home last year.
Yeah. And when we beat San Francisco, that was the first home win in like over 300 days. Something like that. I have it on my Instagram reel. It was I should have looked this up, but so we were popping champagne bottles because it had been so long. So hopefully we can do that week 1. Hopefully I don't overdo that bit, but okay. So I'm not going to keep you here all day. So let's wrap it up. But I wanted to first get, if everyone's probably sick of hearing about this, my partnership with Splash Sports, where I do survivor pools and weekly pick'em pools. Survivor pool is nuts. Over 100. Okay, so there's like over a third of people in the one pool chose the Bengals. So that's already cut in thirds. And then in my other league, 50% of people chose the Bengals.
Yeah, it sounds actually more like what I would have expected.
That they would pick the Bengals?
Yeah.
I was surprised by that, just with, Jamar Chase being, the holdout for so long, and then him kind of having an injury. And who else were they missing? T. Higgins was out. I don't know. That wouldn't have been my week 1 pick, but.
That's fair.
So.
I don't know, but the Patriots were projected to be really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I get your
point. Oh, yeah, totally. I don't know. But that wasn't my logic. But so anyway, we're back now, week 2, with my Pick'em League on Splash Sports. All you do, you log in, you pay your $10 entry fee, you choose a winner of each game. There's no spread or anything to consider. It's just straight up who wins, and then winner take all of the entire pot. But I wanted to get your predictions for week 2. Who is your lock for a for sure win?
The league hates Kirk Cousins.
I hate Kirk Cousins.
Now, but
no, I always
this is 3 years in a row where Kirk Cousins plays in Philadelphia in week 2 in prime time. Yeah. Now with his second team in that time span. Look, I wish Kirk the best in the sense that he's healthy, and I want to play them in the playoffs, so I want them to succeed. I want us to succeed. I want that storyline. An NFC Championship game rematch against the Falcons, revenge from '98, but this time we beat Kirk. Like, come on,
you've really thought about
these storylines are they just write themselves.
I haven't been past December 8th. Yeah. Like, I've had that circled on my calendar.
But I'm saying in a hypothetical, I also had another hypothetical where J.J. McCarthy beats Bo Nix and Sean Payton in the Super Bowl this year in New Orleans. Because that would have been just funny to me.
Oh my God, yeah.
But none of these things.
This is why your account is so good. You think of these things on another level.
Just will never happen, but sound funny.
It's great.
But I think the Eagles. I don't think Kirk's healthy. I think when you watched him try to throw his plant, I'm not speculating on anything crazy, but like you could tell he was hesitant to plant correctly, and he was running a weird offense for him, kind of out of the pistol.
It was strange.
I think Philly's gonna win. I think it's a lock.
Well, my hot take at the beginning of the year was that Kirk would be benched before playing the Vikings on December 8th. I had that based on performance, but maybe it will be injury. And I thought that was extreme, but now that we watched him last week, I'm like, maybe that was a good hot take. Okay, so that's your lock. Who's my lock? I guess I mean, I didn't look at this before, so I'll say Baltimore at Vegas. Raiders at Baltimore. That's a no-brainer, right? And then who is your surprise upset?
I mean, other than the Vikings, because I feel like that's cheap, even though I'm kind of leaning that way. Because I want this to happen, Tampa Bay against Detroit. Detroit can't keep getting all these like home games stacked to start the year. It just drives me insane.
Well, we have gotten that before.
Yeah, but like the league, it's bias. I don't like them. But I like it when it happens to us. I don't like it when it happens to them.
I think it's harder to not play at home towards the end of the season.
Yeah, they still ended a home game
they
against us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's our one game at the end of the year that we don't play at home, of course.
So, anyways, I think Tampa Bay, they look good the other day. I think it's really hard to beat an opponent twice in a row. And right now, they beat the Rams after basically beating them in January. And then they beat the Bucks back in January as well. I think playing those two teams again, like one of them has to figure out how to beat them. The Rams almost did, but I just think basically 4 of their last 5 games came against 2 opponents. Somebody's got to figure out a way to actually like, hey, this is where we went wrong last time. Here's how we win.
All right. I think that's a very good analysis of that one. So who am I going to pick? I should have pre-planned, but I don't know how much of an upset this is, but Buffalo at Miami. I think I might go for Miami pulling up that upset. And that's on Thursday night too. God, that's tonight. It's already Thursday.
Oh yeah, there's football on.
Yeah, so that'll be my pick for Surprise Update. But everyone, make sure you sign up for Splash Sports. The link is in my bio on all of my platforms. It's fun. You win money. And all right, Jason. Well, what else are you up to before Sunday? Anything cool that you need to mention? Oh, Skol Fest. Skol Fest. We almost forgot. So we will both be at Skol Fest.
Yes.
And Skol Fest is at Corner Bar in Minneapolis. Please come join us and say hi. There will be a ton of Vikings content creators there. And last year, it was super fun. This year's even going to be a bigger scale, but they have raffles. They have
tickets they're giving away.
Yeah, they're giving away. Yeah, tickets to the game they're giving away. And they just do a really great job with this. SK, Sean, as many of you guys know, puts it together. And it is a really fun night. So we will both be at Skol Fest on Saturday. I cannot stay out too late because I have to be at the tailgate lot at like 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, and I'm going to have my kid who's going to need to go to sleep so that he survives Sunday.
Yeah, so if you see us there, do not buy us any shots. We don't want any shots, but...
I'll take one shot.
Oh, okay. Fine. I will also, I guess, but no more after that. But we would love to see you guys at the tailgate, Skoldiers and Spice tailgate. I'll post the information on Twitter that morning as to where you can find us. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being our first Skoldier, Jason.
It's an honor. I can't wait to like watch this back in like 2 years where you have like this crazy setup and we're just like going like from scratch, like. It's going to be good memories.
Yeah, we're going to have like a full-on professional suit. The glow up. The glow up is going to be real. But anyway, thank you for listening, guys. Love you so much. And Skol Vikings.
Skol.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and Skol production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and Skol!